wants to do that, but then they rolled him over. He was dead.
We're the only one who can't sing.
You, Mumble Happy Feet, must go.
Is forced to discover his own groove. Summer of Sprout's Family Movie Night presents Happy Feet. This Friday at 7 and 9, only on Sprout.
I thought that was stupid. Well, I've got the wing complete, and today I'm going to work on the tips. I thought I'd weigh it up before we go any farther. Is it as light as I'd like? Not really, but it will be definitely serviceable. And I kind of wanted to give you an idea how much it's supposed to weigh. 6.5 ounces is what we have here. It came out perfect, pretty nice. You know, you build with a lost foam jig, it's gonna work for you. And I'm kind of going through things. I still have to put the compression spar in and the sheeting in the center, and we'll do that today as well. I got my buck bell crank. Will get installed today. And I've got a couple choices for pilots. Now, if it was a smaller airplane, I'd use the 1/8. But I really like the looks of these bigger pilots, so I've got a couple of the Williams Brothers 6th scale, and I think I'm going to go with the military guy because we're trying for that you know, that look that I have with the Continental and the Monado, but we're changing some things up on it. So this is let's see, what day is today? Today is day 6, or is it 7? Of this particular build. And the reason why I didn't show how to build this wing much in detail is it's the same. It's repetition over and over again, and there's really not any need for it. Now I've had a couple of requests for this next build. We're going to show how to bend landing gear. Somebody asked me, you know, I haven't seen a tutorial on how to bend landing gear. We're going to do that. And while I was at the net, somebody asked me, which I take for granted, how I mix paint. And we're going to do a paint mix tutorial as well. So these are the things that are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And I have a contract to paint 12 airplanes. And I'm going to be showing an in-depth paint tutorial when that comes about, because we'll have plenty of footage on painting, I'll tell you that right now. So let me cut the camera. I'm going to reposition some things. We'll get to doing the center sheeting and the tip, so be back in a moment. Okay, first thing I did was I took a piece of 1/8 inch wood and laid it up against the wingtip and kind of sketched out the shape that I wanted, and I cut out the outboard one and I've hollowed it, and then I traced the inboard one, so we have 2, and the next thing to do will be to glue the outboard tip onto the wing. So let's see if we can position this so you can see what I'm doing. And no, I can't. I don't have the room here. I need a bigger shop so I can show better what I'm doing. Let me move the camera. We'll try that. Maybe turn the wing around. We're going to get a real nice tip on this one. Real nice. Move my scale. We want this wing complete under 8 ounces. Flaps. Well, I don't think the flaps, this is a big wing, but should be around 9 ounces with the flaps. All right. Okay, should be able to show the making of the tip. Huh. Well, I have to look at it upside down, I guess. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this tip on right in the center. So we get the, I just eyeball it. You can measure it or whatever. My eye's pretty good as to what is straight and level. Drop of glue. Center it up here. Drop of glue, just tack it because you might have to cut it off. Now we'll look at it, make sure it's square on there. Okay, that's square. And now we completely glue it. Hit it with a little kicker. Next will come the perimeter. A little bit of glue on the sheeting there. One of the guys was asking me about different tools that I use. If you go to the automotive paint store, you can get these soft blocks. It's like a sponge, but it's not. It doesn't hold water. It's harder on one side and soft on the other. And you can put your sandpaper on this and sand and get a real nice flat sanding job. So I need to cut up a few more pieces. We're going to put blocks on the tips. And we're going to put a rib in it as well. So I need to get my materials ready for that. What the heck, a little goober there. And I don't think it will matter because it's inside the fuselage, but I kind of want this airplane perfect. Little goober. I got that off good. And it's less weight. Alright, so I'm going to cut a few pieces off camera. Cut the perimeter, cut the blocks that go on here. I'll get a piece of rib material. And then I'll start the camera. So, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I know I've said this before, but I want to emphasize it once more because these blocks are just so good. In order to build a light airplane, you have to have light balsa wood. So, what I've done is I've cut these tip blocks out, and we're going to see what they weigh. Well, it doesn't really register on the scale in ounces, so let's register it in grams. 4 grams. And that's 2 grams. So we had, why do we have so much difference in weight? They're both the same size. Density of wood, I guess. 3 grams now. Okay, 3. Yeah, they're both the same. 3. So we'll say 3 grams. There's 6 grams there. And the tip, before it's weighed, or hollowed, it weighs 3 grams. So we got a 9 gram tip. Plus we'll have a perimeter, 9, 10, 11. It'll be less than a half an ounce for this tip. And remember, I'm going to hollow this out. So let me set these up to be carved. Let's see how we're going to do this here. And we're just going to tack it on there because we're going to have to take it off to hollow it out once it's shaped. So you don't want a whole lot of glue on there, otherwise you got a problem. Should have cut more of it off. Okay, let me see here. There we go. I had it on backwards. And we'll do this one. So this one here. Goes on the bottom. Like so. I have a little piece of glue at the tip we need to cut off. A nib. Now the tip is blocked out, and we'll go ahead and carve it, sand a rough shape to it, and then hollow it out. Of course, it gets a 3/8 perimeter around the bottom there. You just take the long knife blade, and I broke them off. Didn't have them tacked well enough. Try this again. Better put a tack right there too. Anyway, you basically get the idea how I do this. So we're going to spend probably a half an hour carving that up. I don't want to burn up the footage on that, but we'll be back when I get it carved. The first thing we need is a rib for here. So how are we going to get that? Well, just take the rib template, and we know that it stops behind the spar. And just, we're going to draw one out, cut it. We're basically splitting the rib in half less than 1/8, and that'll give you the correct height for that. So here we have the back half of the rib. We're just going to approximate it. So we'll get 2 out of that. We're going to need this stripper. So we have to less than 1/8 plus less 77, so that's yeah, we'll say approximately 3/16. And that should be our rib. So we'll cut it out and fit her up. That way the airfoil runs all the way to the wingtip. That's another thing I liked about those wingtips. So we know it's going to be too long. We're going to have to cut it to length. I think I've shown this before in my other build that, yeah, we got it close. It's pretty close. So we'll take the sanding block. Need to sand a little bit off the back half. I cut it too short. So we'll cut another one. No sense in you know, I made a mistake there. I cut a little too short. We got plenty of wood. We got plenty of time. And just make a new piece. And hopefully we won't cut it too short this time. Matter of fact, I'll overcut it and sand it. That's pretty good. Huh. A little bit more. Eyeball it. Take a little more off of it. Now instead of changing the airfoil shape because it's too tall, we're sanding it off the bottom. And that's pretty good. Then we put a cap strip on it and sand her down, and there you go. Oh no. And now we'll get a piece of cap strip. This is 77 thousandths as well. All right. And now, because there's no opening that's over 3/4 of an inch to go around the curve, the wingtip, that tip will come out perfect. you got away from me there. But that's okay. Sand her right off. Dust is killing me. Now that'll be a nice tip. Looking good. So I've showed you how to do one side of one tip. I will cut the camera, finish the others off. There's no sense in the boring of you watching me do all the same. It's just repetition. With detail sanding now. And ever how much time you spend making these things perfect. It's kind of like when I was up at Brodax. You know, I helped John with his airplane for the Nationals, and I told him, hey, if you want a better finish, you got to have better woodwork. So. The finish literally does start with the first piece of wood cut. So when you're making all kind of sloppy mistakes in cutting and fitting things, the job when you're done will look haphazard. Nobody's perfect, but you know, strive for perfection. It certainly can't hurt. I'm sure I'll sand it another time before I cover it. Well, that's one side, so we'll be back when I get all three sides done. And I'll show you how to do the wingtip lead out again, which I have shown in the past. But we'll do that again, so get a close-up of it. And that's what we have. And it's a light tip, I'll guarantee you that. Let's see, it was 6.5 ounces before I added the tip. Let's see what it did add. Quarter ounce. We're at 675 now. That's pretty good. I need to, so I'll cut the tape and be back when we get a little farther, so we'll see you in a short.